Stop right there. Stop exhausting yourself trying to explain a God-given vision to people who were never assigned to carry it. You are wearing yourself out at the wrong table, trying to convince the wrong audience, asking people for agreement when God only asks you for obedience. Listen to me carefully. You are not lazy because they don't understand you. You are not confused because they don't celebrate you. You are not crazy because what you see does not make sense to them yet. Sometimes you are carrying something that is still in seed form, and people keep judging it because it does not look like a tree. But a seed is not a failure because it has not yet become fruit. It is simply in process. And this is where many people destroy their own assignment. They mistake lack of support for lack of purpose. They think if this were really from God, somebody would confirm it, somebody would clap, somebody would understand, somebody would open a door. No, that is immature thinking. Absence of applause does not mean absence of assignment. Silence around you does not mean God is silent within you. Their inability to recognize it is not proof that it is not real. The world is addicted to announcement. Everybody wants to post a dream before they have paid the price. Everybody wants proof before process. Everybody wants evidence before endurance. But the kingdom does not operate like the crowd. God often gives purpose before he gives evidence. He gives you the burden before he gives you the building. He gives you the vision before he gives you the validation. So they cannot see it, stop explaining it. Build until the fruit becomes the explanation. Build until the results answer what your mouth no longer has the energy to defend. Build until the thing God placed in your spirit stands up in your life with evidence, weight, character, and fruit. Don't misunderstand me. Counsel is important. Wisdom is important. Correction is important. But there is a difference between counsel and permission. Counsel sharpens you. Permission controls you. Counsel helps you obey better. Permission makes you delay until people feel comfortable with what God told you to do. And some of you have been delaying because you are waiting for people to bless what God already breathed on. You are waiting for family to understand it. You are waiting for friends to affirm it. You are waiting for strangers to like it. But if you need everyone's agreement before you obey, then their voices become louder than God's instruction. If you know you are in a private building season, stay with this teaching. Receive it as correction, not condemnation. And quietly subscribe if this is helping you become faithful to your assignment. Because this is not entertainment, this is alignment. The issue is not their support. The issue is whether you have enough conviction to keep obeying without witnesses. The issue is whether you can keep building when nobody claps, keep preparing when nobody asks, keep showing up when nobody sees, and keep believing when nobody understands. Your vision does not need everyone's agreement before it deserves your obedience. Vision does not begin with the crowd. Vision begins with the manufacturer. Before anybody knew your name, God knew your assignment. Before anybody applauded your gift, God designed your capacity. Before anybody recognized your value, heaven had already placed purpose inside you. You must understand this, or you will spend your whole life begging people to approve what they did not create. People cannot cancel what God authored. Human silence cannot destroy divine intention. Their refusal to clap does not erase your calling. Their inability to understand does not revoke your assignment. A thing is not valid because people celebrate it. A thing is valid because it came from the one who designed it. Everything God creates comes with purpose before popularity. The bird was given wings before anybody admired its flight. The seed was given a tree inside it before anybody sat under its shade. The baby has destiny before it has language. Purpose comes first. Recognition comes later. Capacity comes first. Applause comes later. Assignment comes first. Audience comes later. But we live in a generation that has reversed the order. People want audience before assignment. They want recognition before capacity. They want popularity before purpose. That is why they are frustrated. They are trying to harvest what they have not planted. They are trying to announce what they have not become. They want the crown, but they do not want the cave. They want the platform, but they do not want the process. Listen carefully. If you need people to clap before you start, you are still serving their opinion, not your purpose. If you need them to agree before you obey, you have made them your source. If you need constant validation to continue, then your roots are too shallow for the weight of your assignment. You cannot build something eternal on the unstable foundation of human approval. Don't misunderstand me. Confirmation is real. Counsel is real. Wise people can help you test direction, refine timing, and strengthen execution. There are voices God will use to sharpen you. But confirmation is not the same as permission. Confirmation witnesses what God has already spoken. Permission gives someone else control over whether you obey. Mature people seek confirmation. Insecure people beg for permission from people who have no authority over their destiny. Some of you have been calling it wisdom, but it is fear. You say, I'm just waiting for confirmation. No, you are waiting for everybody to feel comfortable. You are waiting for people who never carried your burden to give you courage. You are waiting for people who are terrified of risk to bless your obedience. That is not wisdom. That is bondage, wearing the clothes of patience. God did not design you by committee. Your destiny was not voted on in a boardroom of human opinion. You were not manufactured by your relatives, your critics, your classmates, your followers, or your friends. You were designed by God, and whatever He designs with intention. Your fingerprint is different because your assignment is different. Your wiring is different because your work is different. Your burden is different because your contribution is different. That is why imitation is so dangerous. When you abandon your vision because somebody else does not approve it, you insult the manufacturer. You are telling the Creator that the created has more authority than the one who created. That is disorder. That is confusion. That is how people live and die, carrying treasure they never released because they kept waiting for broken people to authorize a divine deposit. And here is something you must be mature enough to accept. Some people reject your vision because your vision exposes the smallness of their own thinking. It is not always because your dream is impossible. Sometimes it is because their imagination is limited. Their disbelief may be revealing their ceiling, not your future. Their fear may be exposing their history, not your destiny. When people have made peace with small living, large vision offends them. When people have become comfortable with survival, your language of purpose sounds arrogant. When people have settled into average, your hunger for assignment feels like an accusation. You did not accuse them, but your vision did. Your obedience quietly confronts their excuses. This is why Joseph's dream offended his brothers. The dream did not attack them. The dream simply announced a future they did not authorize. And people who are comfortable with your current level will often become disturbed when your future starts speaking. They loved you as long as you fit their expectation. They were comfortable when you stayed in the familiar place. But the moment you began to speak from what God showed you instead of what they knew about you, they became troubled. Be careful. Some people do not hate you. They hate the version of you that no longer needs their permission. They hate the future you because the future you does not fit the box they built for the present you. And if you are not strong, you will shrink your vision just to keep their comfort. You will make your assignment smaller so they do not feel insecure. You will betray your future to preserve familiar relationships. No, stop right there. You cannot reduce divine purpose to protect human feelings. You can love people without letting them limit you. You can honor people without obeying their fear. You can respect people without surrendering your assignment to their unbelief. Vision comes from purpose, and purpose comes from God's original intent. Not from applause, not from agreement, not from popularity, not from comments, not from likes, not from public approval. When God gives vision, He is revealing intention. He is showing you a piece of why you exist. And if you treat that vision casually, you will mishandle your own life. So the question is not, do they support it? The question is, did God give it? The question is not, do they understand it? The question is, am I willing to obey it? The question is not, will they clap? The question is, will I build? Because once you know your vision is from God, the next danger is not opposition. Opposition is predictable. Criticism is predictable. Misunderstanding is predictable. The real danger is talking too much too early. The real danger is exposing a blueprint that is still in formation. The real danger is handing sacred instructions to casual listeners. Vision given before validation must be guarded before it is displayed. So rule number 1 is simple. Guard the blueprint from the wrong eyes. Do not show your blueprint to people who only know how to criticize buildings they never constructed. Stop handing your future to people who have no evidence of faithfulness in their own hands. Stop explaining architecture to people who have never laid a foundation. Stop submitting divine instruction to people whose only skill is finding cracks in walls they never had the courage to build. Listen to me carefully. A blueprint is not a building yet. It is a design and development. It is possibility on paper. It is structure before visibility. And because it is not finished, it is vulnerable. That is why you cannot treat everybody as qualified to see it. Some people do not have the maturity to look at what is unfinished without calling it unworthy. They see scaffolding and call it failure. They see process and call it confusion. They see beginnings and despise them because they only know how to honor what is already popular. There is a difference between counsel and commentary. Counsel carries wisdom. Commentary carries noise. Counsel has responsibility attached to it. Commentary has opinion attached to it. Counsel asks, how can I help you obey God more accurately? Commentary says, who do you think you are? Counsel sharpens. Commentary weakens. Counsel may correct you, but it corrects you with love. Commentary criticizes you with fear, jealousy, comparison, and unbelief. You need counsel. You do not need commentary. Don't confuse the two. Some of you have been calling every opinion wisdom because you are afraid to stand alone. No, wisdom has fruit. Wisdom has weight. Wisdom has character. Wisdom comes from people who have paid a price, built something, survived the process, submitted to God, and learned how to correct without crushing. Commentary comes from people who have done nothing but still believe they are experts on everything. Be careful who you let speak over your unfinished vision. Words are not just sounds. Words are containers. They can carry courage or they can carry contamination. When you reveal an undeveloped vision to undeveloped people, they can transfer their limitations into your imagination. You walked in with faith and you walked out with fear. You walked in with fire and you walked out with confusion. You walked in with a blueprint and you walked out questioning whether you heard God at all. That is not discernment. That is contamination. Some people cannot see beyond their own history. If they fail, they will tell you failure is inevitable. If they are afraid, they will call your faith foolish. If they are jealous, they will disguise their jealousy as concern. If they are insecure, they will try to make your obedience look like pride. And if you are not discerning, you will let their ceiling become your roof. You will let their trauma become your theology. You will let their fear redraw your blueprint. No. Guard it. When a woman conceives a child, she does not place the baby in the hands of strangers while it is still forming in the womb. She protects it. She changes what she eats. She changes where she goes. She changes how she moves. She becomes selective because what is conceived is sacred before it is visible. The baby is real before the public can hold it. The life is present before the announcement. The future exists before the evidence is obvious. And that is how vision works. What God has conceived in your spirit must be protected before it is presented. No wise mother lets strangers handle what is still forming. No wise builder invites critics into the foundation stage and gives them authority over the structure. No wise steward exposes treasure before there is maturity to protect it. Silence is not secrecy from fear. Silence is stewardship from wisdom. You are not hiding because you are ashamed. You are guarding because you understand value. You are not being secretive because you lack confidence. You are being disciplined because premature exposure can destroy what patience would have developed. Everything does not need to be announced. Everything does not need to be posted. Everything does not need to be discussed. Some things must be carried quietly until they are strong enough to survive public handling. Jesus did not give the same access to everybody. He loved the multitudes, but he did not explain everything to the multitudes. He had 12, but even within the 12, there were moments reserved for 3. Access was not hatred. Access was order. Love everybody, but do not give everybody the keys. Be kind to everybody, but do not give everybody your blueprint. Forgive everybody, but do not give everybody influence. So who deserves access? People who pray, people who build, people who understand process, people who can correct you without humiliating you, people who can see weakness without exploiting it, people who can protect what is fragile without needing to control it, people who are not threatened by your growth, people who do not need your failure to feel superior, people who love God enough to tell you the truth and love you enough to stay responsible with what you share. Those are builders. Show your blueprint to builders, not spectators. Show it to people with wisdom in their scars, discipline in their habits, humility in their correction, and faith in their language. If they cannot pray over it, protect it, challenge it, and help you carry it, they do not need to see it yet. A vision in formation needs protection before it needs exposure. Guard the blueprint, guard the language, guard the early stages, guard the tender places where God is still forming conviction. Because once the blueprint is guarded, the next responsibility is clear. Stop waiting for a crowd, stop begging for witnesses, and begin building in private. So rule number 2 is this: build in the dark until your roots can hold the weight. Build when nobody is watching. Build when nobody is clapping. Build when nobody is asking for your update. Build when nobody is impressed. Because public greatness without private roots becomes public collapse. Listen to me carefully. The light does not create the tree. The light reveals what the darkness helped develop. Before a tree ever stands above ground, something had to happen beneath ground. Before branches stretch upward, roots must stretch downward. Before fruit appears, hidden systems must form. And if you do not respect the hidden system, you will not survive the visible season. When a seed goes into the ground, it looks buried, it looks forgotten, it looks finished. People walk over it and do not know destiny is under their feet. They see dirt. God sees development. They see nothing happening. God sees roots moving. They see burial. God sees preparation. That is why you must stop judging your season by what is visible. Everything powerful does not announce itself early. Some things are most alive when they look most silent. You think because nobody sees you, nothing is happening. That is a lie designed to make you despise the very place where God is strengthening you. Hidden does not mean hated. Hidden does not mean useless. Hidden does not mean abandoned. Hidden means protected while development is taking place. God often hides you long enough to build the roots required for what He plans to reveal. In the dark, God builds discipline. In the dark, God builds character. In the dark, God builds skill, patience, language, endurance, capacity, and wisdom. You learn how to keep promises when nobody rewards you. You learn how to pray without performing. You learn how to study without posting. You learn how to serve without needing your name called. You learn how to stay faithful when faithfulness has no audience. And this is where many people fail. They do not want purpose. They want attention wearing the clothing of purpose. They say they want destiny, but what they really want is visibility. They say they want impact, but what they really want is applause. They say they want to build, but what they really want is to be seen building. No, that is not assignment. That is addiction. Purpose is not proven by how loudly you announce it. Purpose is proven by how faithfully you steward it when nobody validates it. If you cannot work privately, you are not ready to lead publicly. If you cannot be consistent without applause, you are not ready for influence. If you cannot obey in obscurity, visibility will expose your immaturity. Stop despising private work. Studying is building. Saving is building. Healing is building. Practicing is building. Writing is building. Planning is building. Praying is building. Serving is building. Becoming is building. Every quiet hour is a construction material. Every disciplined decision is a brick. Every hidden sacrifice is part of the foundation. Just because people cannot see the wall yet does not mean God is not strengthening the structure. Some of you are angry because God has not exposed you yet. But if He exposed you too early, the exposure would destroy you. You are praying for doors your character cannot manage. You are begging for platforms your discipline cannot sustain. You want influence, but you still cannot handle correction. You want wealth, but you have not mastered stewardship. You want recognition, but you have not mastered humility. You want the weight, but you have not grown the roots. If you rise before you are rooted, the same attention you begged for will become the pressure that breaks you. Shallow speed is dangerous. Quick exposure without deep preparation is not favor. It is a setup for collapse. The higher the tree, the deeper the roots must go. The heavier the assignment, the stronger the inner structure must become. God is not trying to make you popular first. He is trying to make you stable first. Do not envy people who appeared overnight. You do not know what their roots look like. And do not imitate people who are celebrated but empty. Fame can decorate weakness, but it cannot sustain destiny. Visibility can attract a crowd, but only character can carry a calling. Talent may open a door, but roots keep you standing when storms come. So work in the dark, practice in the dark, learn in the dark, repent in the dark, heal in the dark, build systems in the dark, strengthen your mind in the dark. Let God correct your motives in the dark. Let Him teach you patience where nobody can applaud your patience. Let Him train your hands where nobody can compliment your hands. Let Him deepen your roots before He raises your branches. Because when the fruit comes, it will need something stronger than excitement to hold it. It will need roots. It will need discipline. It will need a soul that has been trained by silence and pressure and obedience. The builder must understand this. No support seasons feel lonely, but many of them are merciful. Sometimes God removes the crowd because the crowd would interrupt the roots. And once you understand that, you will stop calling isolation rejection and start discerning when it is protection for the assignment. Now listen to me carefully. The loneliness you feel is real, but it is not final. You may feel abandoned, misunderstood, unsupported, and unseen. But unseen does not mean unused. Just because people are not standing beside you does not mean God has stepped away from you. Just because they did not come with you does not mean you are going nowhere. Sometimes the road gets quiet because God is removing the voices that would confuse the instruction. Do not misinterpret separation. Do not call every empty room rejection. Do not call every silent season punishment. There are moments when God will isolate you because what He is forming in you cannot survive the wrong environment. Some people would not help the vision. They would infect it. They would corrupt it with fear, comparison, jealousy, impatience, and small thinking. They would touch what is holy with casual hands. They would give advice from wounds they have never healed and opinions from battles they have never fought. Loneliness can become protection when it keeps the wrong hands away from what God is forming. Jesus understood this. He had crowds, but He did not give the crowds full access. He had 12 disciples, but even among the 12, there were moments reserved for 3. And even after the 3, there were moments when He went alone with the Father. Access was never equal. Love was generous, but access was governed. Compassion was wide, but intimacy was selective. That is not pride. That is order. You need to learn this. Everybody can receive kindness from you, but everybody cannot receive access to you. Everybody can be loved by you, but everybody cannot walk into the inner room of your assignment. If Jesus had levels of access, why do you think you must explain everything to everyone? If the Son of God withdrew to pray, why do you think you are weak? Because you need separation. Stop letting guilt make you available to people who drain what God is trying to develop. Some of your no support season is divine filtering. It is not that God hates you. It is that God is protecting the seed from the wrong soil. If certain people had supported you too early, you would have become addicted to their approval. If certain doors had opened too early, you would have mistaken opportunity for identity. If certain crowds had gathered too early, you would have started performing for them instead of obeying God. When nobody is clapping, you discover what you really love. You discover whether you love the assignment or only the attention attached to it. You discover whether you are called or merely excited. You discover whether your obedience has roots or whether it was surviving on compliments. Applause can hide immaturity. Attention can disguise emptiness. But silence exposes the truth. Silence asks, will you still build when nobody notices? Silence asks, will you still obey when nobody celebrates? Silence asks, is this conviction or is this performance? That is why you must not become bitter. Do not turn lack of support into hatred. Do not become hard because people did not understand you. Do not let disappointment poison your spirit. Their absence may be painful, but it can also be informative. It shows you who has capacity. It shows you who has discernment. It shows you who can travel with you and who must remain at a distance. Use it as clarity. Use it as maturity. Use it as evidence that your roots must go deeper. Bitterness will make you misuse isolation. Isolation is supposed to deepen you, not deform you. It is supposed to make you wiser, not colder. It is supposed to make you prayerful, not suspicious of everybody. Do not let people's absence make you cruel. Let it make you clean. Let it make you focus. Let it teach you how to stand without needing constant emotional assistance from people who were never assigned to carry your weight. And stop begging people to believe. Stop pleading for recognition. Stop dragging your vision into conversations where you already know it will be mocked, minimized, or misunderstood. Every time you beg people to validate what God told you, you train your soul to treat human agreement as oxygen. Then you cannot breathe unless somebody approves. You cannot move unless somebody affirms. You cannot obey unless somebody claps. That is bondage. Human agreement is not your oxygen. God's word is your oxygen. Purpose is your oxygen. Conviction is your oxygen. Discipline is your oxygen. If they believe, fine. If they do not believe, build. If they come, fine. If they leave, build. If they understand, fine. If they misunderstand, build. You were not called to spend your whole life translating divine instruction into language unbelief can approve. There comes a point where explaining becomes disobedience dressed as patience. You keep saying, I just want them to understand. No, you want permission to feel safe. You want agreement to remove the risk. But assignment always contains risk. Faith always contains movement before evidence. Obedience always requires you to step beyond the comfort of public confirmation. So let the lonely place do its work. Let it purify your motives. Let it expose your dependence. Let it strengthen your discernment. Let it teach you the difference between companions and crowds, between helpers and observers, between builders and spectators. Let it train you to hear God without needing a committee. Let it make your spirit sober, your mind clear, your roots deep, and your hands steady. But do not sit in isolation and call stillness obedience. Isolation prepares the heart, but the hands must still move. Purpose without disciplined execution is only imagination. A vision you never work is not faith, it is fantasy. So after God protects you, you must build. After He separates you, you must move. After He quiets the room, you must get to work. Because the next level of maturity is when you stop explaining what you see and start executing what you were shown. So rule number 3 is this: replace explanation with execution. Stop explaining what you are called to build and start executing what obedience requires today. Not next year. Not when they understand. Not when the room agrees. Today. Because when people do not understand your vision, your best explanation is disciplined progress. You have talked long enough. You have defended long enough. You have rehearsed the dream in front of critics long enough. Every hour you spend arguing with people who have no intention of believing could have been invested in your skill, your structure, your product, your prayer life, your plan, and your progress. Explanation feeds argument. Execution produces evidence. Noise demande attention. Free demande respect. Some of you are losing strength because you keep spending your energy in the wrong courtroom. You are presenting evidence to people who already decided the verdict before you walked in. They do not want clarity. They want control. They do not want understanding. They want access to your confidence so they can weaken it. And while you are busy defending the vision is waiting for your hands. Faith is not passive dreaming. Faith is not sitting in a chair imagining a future and calling it spirituality. Faith is disciplined movement in the direction of what God showed you. If God gave you a vision, then faith asks, what must I do today? Not who believes me, not who supports me, not who is impressed. Faith moves, faith prepares, faith studies, faith builds. Faith obeys while the evidence is still forming. Write the plan, study the field, build the prototype, improve the craft, manage the money, repair the character, create measurable evidence. If you say you are called to write, then write. If you say you are called to build, then build. If you say you are called to lead, then grow your discipline. If you say you are called to business, then learn numbers, learn systems, learn customers, learn stewardship. Stop calling confusion what is really a lack of preparation. Don't misunderstand me. You may be hurt. You may be tired. You may be disappointed that the people you expected to stand with you did not stand. That pain is real. But pain is not permission to become irresponsible. Pain does not excuse laziness. Pain does not cancel obedience. Pain must be processed, but purpose must still be pursued. You can cry and build. You can heal and build. You can be misunderstood and build. You can have no applause and still build. Sometimes you are not waiting for support. You are hiding behind the absence of support because you do not want responsibility. Stop right there. I know that is strong, but it is true. You keep saying, nobody believes in me. But the real question is, do you believe enough to become disciplined? You keep saying, nobody is helping me. But have you helped yourself with structure? You keep saying, nobody opened the door, but have you built anything worthy of a door? Support is valuable, but support is not a substitute for stewardship. If nobody funds it, manage what you have. If nobody promotes it, make it excellent in private. If nobody invites you, develop until your work becomes undeniable. If nobody calls your name, answer the call of God anyway. Stop waiting for people to make obedience convenient. Assignment is not always convenient. Destiny is not always comfortable. Purpose will demand from you before it announces you. Your daily decisions are either building the future or betraying it. What you do when nobody is watching is the real proof of what you believe. You cannot keep declaring a great vision while practicing small discipline. You cannot keep talking about nations and mishandling your morning. You cannot keep speaking about impact while wasting your hours. Big assignment requires small obedience repeated consistently. So, reduce the talking, increase the doing. Reduce the arguing, increase the evidence. Reduce the need to be understood. Increase the discipline to be faithful. Put your hands on what God put in your spirit. Turn the dream into a schedule. Turn the burden into a budget. Turn the idea into a draft. Turn the prayer into preparation. Turn the vision into visible obedience. And do not despise small evidence. One page is evidence. One call is evidence. One prototype is evidence. One saved dollar is evidence. One healed habit is evidence. One improved skill is evidence. One completed step is evidence. Evidence begins quietly before it becomes obvious. The wall is built one brick at a time. The tree grows one root at a time. The assignment matures one obedient day at a time. There will come a moment when you will not need to explain as much because your progress will testify. Your consistency will speak. Your excellence will speak. Your fruit will speak. The same people who argued with your announcement will have to confront your evidence. Because disciplined progress has a language critics cannot easily dismiss. But once you begin executing, you must understand something else. Progress does not always move as fast as your expectation. Obedience does not always produce immediate visibility. Building does not always feel rewarding in the beginning. And if you do not interpret delay correctly, discouragement will try to assassinate the assignment. So after you replace explanation with execution, you must learn this next truth. The delay is not denial, it is capacity training. The delay is not denial. The wait is not waste. And the silence of people is not the silence of God. Stop measuring divine activity by human noise. Just because they are not calling does not mean God is not working. Just because doors are not opening yet does not mean the assignment has been canceled. Sometimes heaven is quiet because heaven is working beneath the surface. Listen to me carefully. Process is not punishment. Process is preparation. You are not being delayed because God forgot you. You are being developed because what you asked for has weight. The vision you keep praying about is not light. The influence, the responsibility, the resources, the platform, the leadership, the family, the business, the ministry, the assignment, it all has weight. And if God gives you weight before He gives you capacity, the blessing becomes a burden. Some of you are asking God to release what you are not yet built to carry. You want the fruit, but you have not developed the roots. You want the door, but you have not developed the discipline. You want the harvest, but you have not respected the season of hidden growth. No, God is too wise to answer every impatient prayer. Sometimes His mercy looks like delay because He refuses to let your gift take you where your character cannot keep you. If you rush the process, you ruin the product. Anything built quickly without testing may shine for a moment, but pressure will reveal the weakness. A product that has not been tested will fail in the hands of the customer. A bridge that has not been tested will collapse under traffic. A leader who has not been tested will break under criticism. A vision that has not been tested will become dangerous when people start depending on it. That is why God lets time test you. Time tests your motives. Time tests your obedience. Time tests your appetite. Time tests your humility. Time tests whether you want assignment or applause. Time tests whether you will still be faithful when the results are slow and the crowd is absent. Anybody can be excited in the beginning, but endurance proves ownership. Consistency proves conviction. Patience proves that you are not just interested in the promise, you are submitted to the process. Delay develops emotional maturity. It teaches you not to collapse every time someone misunderstands you. It teaches you not to answer every insult, not to chase every critic, not to make permanent decisions from temporary feelings. Delay develops financial wisdom. It teaches you stewardship before abundance, restraint before increase, planning before expansion. Delay develops spiritual discernment. It teaches you the difference between a God door and an attractive distraction. It teaches you the difference between peace and pressure, between timing and temptation. Delay develops leadership restraint. It teaches you that power without wisdom is dangerous. It teaches you when to speak and when to be silent, when to move and when to wait, when to include people and when to protect the room. Delay develops humility because it reminds you that you are not the source, you are the steward. You are not manufacturing destiny by ego, you are cooperating with purpose by obedience. Delay develops endurance because the assignment will demand more than excitement. It will demand stamina. And do not let comparison poison your process. Another person's public harvest does not cancel your private season. Their fruit does not mean your seed failed. Their open door does not mean your door is locked forever. Their announcement does not mean God forgot your name. Different seeds have different gestation periods. Corn does not grow like an oak tree. A baby does not form in 1 week because somebody else gave birth yesterday. Everything designed by God has a time, a process, a rhythm, and a maturity requirement. Stop looking at somebody else's timeline and insulting your own soil. You do not know what God is building in them, and you do not know what He is requiring from you. Comparison will make you abandon a divine process for a counterfeit pace. It will make you despise preparation because somebody else looks promoted. It will make you rush into rooms you were never assigned to enter. It will make you call speed favor when sometimes speed is just exposure without foundation. Impatience is dangerous. Impatience will make you accept counterfeit doors because you are tired of waiting for the right one. Impatience will make you partner with people who admire your gift but cannot honor your assignment. Impatience will make you sell your peace for applause. It will make you mistake attention for confirmation, popularity for purpose, and movement for progress. Everything moving is not advancing. Everything open is not ordained. Everything loud is not God. Some doors are traps dressed like opportunities. Some partnerships are delays disguised as help. Some applause comes from people who cannot sustain the weight of what God called you to build. They will clap while you perform, but disappear when you need covering. They will praise your visibility, but criticize your boundaries. They will celebrate your gift, but drain your spirit. If you are desperate for validation, you will invite people into your assignment who were only supposed to watch from a distance. So let patience finish its work. Let God enlarge you. Let Him deepen you. Let Him strengthen the parts of you that nobody sees. Let Him correct your motives before He increases your influence. Let Him teach you stewardship before He releases abundance. Let Him build discernment before He brings opportunities, because delay is often God expanding your capacity so the vision does not crush you when it arrives. But understand this, patience does not mean passivity, and waiting does not mean weakness. You still build, you still prepare, you still obey, you still guard the blueprint. You still execute in private. But while you are waiting, you must also protect your peace. Because an unsupported builder cannot afford unnecessary confusion. Peace is construction capital. If you waste it on people who profit from your uncertainty, you will not have strength left for the assignment. So rule number 4 is this: protect your peace from people who profit from your confusion. Protect it like it is part of the assignment, because it is. Your peace is not a luxury. Your peace is not a mood. Your peace is not something you pick up after everyone has finished draining you. Peace is the internal government that allows you to keep building when the outside world is noisy. A distracted builder becomes an inconsistent builder. And an inconsistent builder cannot finish a God-given vision. You cannot build with one hand on the assignment and the other hand trying to manage everybody's opinion. You cannot lay bricks while answering every accusation. You cannot form something holy while constantly defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. At some point you must decide that your focus is too expensive to spend on confusion. Listen to me carefully. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every critic deserves access. Not every emotional demand deserves your energy. Some people are not asking because they want clarity. They are asking because they want control. They want you to keep explaining until you become uncertain. They want you to keep defending until you become tired. They want you to keep answering until your obedience feels unreasonable. That is not conversation. That is drainage. There are people who profit when you are confused. They feel powerful when you doubt yourself. They feel important when you keep coming back for permission. They feel secure when your vision remains small enough for them to understand. So when you begin to grow, they create tension. When you begin to obey, they create emergencies. When you begin to focus, they call you selfish. When you begin to set boundaries, they call you proud. No. Do not let manipulative language make you abandon divine responsibility. Boundaries are not bitterness. Stop right there. I know what some of you are thinking. You think protecting your peace means you are being cold, arrogant, distant, or unforgiving. No, that is not what I am saying. Bitterness says, I hate you, so I will punish you. Boundaries say, I love God's assignment too much to let disorder govern my life. Bitterness is revenge. Boundaries are stewardship. Bitterness poisons the heart. Boundaries protect the work. You can forgive people and still restrict their access. You can love people and still stop letting them interrupt your obedience. You can pray for people and still refuse to hand them the steering wheel of your destiny. Love does not require unlimited access. Forgiveness does not require foolish exposure. Compassion does not mean you become available to every person who drains your strength and then criticizes your exhaustion. Identify the peace thieves in your life. They mock your vision, then ask why you lost confidence. They drain your time, then accuse you of not making progress. They minimize your calling, then expect you to celebrate their ambition. They create emergencies around your obedience because your focus threatens their control. They only support you when you stay small, quiet, dependent, unavailable. The moment you begin to stand, they begin to complain. And here is the blunt truth. If you keep giving your future to people addicted to your past, you are cooperating with your own limitation. Some people do not know how to relate to the person you are becoming. They only know the version of you they can manage. They only know the version of you that needed their approval. They only know the version of you that explained everything, apologized for growth, and shrank to keep the relationship comfortable. But destiny will disturb some relationships. Growth will expose some motives. Obedience will reveal who loved your assignment and who loved your dependency. You cannot keep dragging old definitions into new seasons. You cannot keep letting people who benefited from your brokenness interpret your healing. You cannot let someone who is committed to your confusion become the counselor of your clarity. Protect your peace. Guard your mind. Guard your schedule. Guard your conversations. Guard your prayer life. Guard the atmosphere around your vision. Stop answering calls that leave you heavy every time. Stop reading messages designed to provoke your insecurity. Stop sitting in rooms where your assignment is treated like a joke. Stop letting people turn your obedience into a debate. This does not mean you reject correction. Counsel is different from confusion. Counsel sharpens you. Confusion scatters you. Counsel may challenge your method, but it honors your assignment. Confusion challenges your worth, your sanity, your obedience, and your right to move forward. You need wise counsel. You do not need endless commentary. You need builders, not spectators with opinions. You need voices that produce clarity, not voices that leave you spiritually exhausted. Pray for people, forgive people, bless people, but do not build your life around keeping them comfortable with your obedience. You are not responsible for managing everybody's reaction to what God told you to build. You are responsible for obeying. You are responsible for stewarding the instruction. You are responsible for keeping your spirit clean enough, focused enough, and strong enough to continue. Peace makes consistency possible. When your peace is protected, your hands become steady. When your hands are steady, your work becomes consistent. When your work becomes consistent, private obedience begins turning into public evidence. And when evidence appears, you will not need to argue with doubt the way you used to. The fruit will begin to speak. So rule number 5 is this: let the fruit speak louder than their doubt. Do not fight to be believed. Build until your fruit becomes undeniable. Stop trying to win arguments with people who were never assigned to understand your seed stage. Stop wrestling with opinions while your assignment is waiting for maturity. Your assignment is proven best by fruit, not by arguments. Listen to me carefully. Fruit has a language. Maturity speaks. Results speak. Character speaks. Consistency speaks. Excellence speaks. Transformed lives speak. You do not have to scream when your life is producing evidence. You do not have to beg for credibility when your obedience has become visible. Fruit does not need a microphone. Fruit does not need a defense attorney. Fruit stands on the branch and testifies that something real is happening in the roots. Some of you are still trying to explain the seed to people who only respect harvest. Leave them alone. A seed never looks like what it is carrying. A seed can carry a forest and still fit in the palm of your hand. That is why immature people mishandle beginnings. They judge by size. They judge by visibility. They judge by applause. They judge by what they can understand right now. But God judges by design. God sees the tree inside the seed. God sees the fruit inside the process. God sees the assignment inside the hidden place. A tree does not argue with people about being a tree. It does not stand in the field defending its identity. It does not call the other trees together and say, please believe I am real. No. It grows. It becomes rooted. It receives rain. It endures storms. It survives seasons. It stretches toward light. And when the appointed time comes, it bears fruit. The season reveals what was inside it all along. You need to learn from the tree. Grow quietly, root deeply, stand faithfully, bear fruit consistently. Let the season expose what argument could never prove. Let time reveal what ridicule could not see. Let maturity answer what doubt kept questioning. Because when fruit appears, people must make a decision. They may still dislike you, but they cannot deny the evidence. They may still misunderstand you, but they cannot erase the harvest. They may still refuse to clap, but they cannot pretend nothing grew. But hear me now. Do not build for revenge. Stop right there. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, I am going to show them. I am going to make them regret doubting me. I am going to embarrass everybody who did not support me. No, that is not maturity. That is wounded ambition wearing the clothes of purpose. If your dream is fueled by revenge, then the people who doubted you are still controlling you. They are still the audience. They are still the motive. They are still sitting on the throne of your imagination. You do not build to embarrass doubters. You build because obedience is sacred. You build because purpose is bigger than proving people wrong. You build because God assigned it, not because they denied it. Revenge makes your calling too small. Bitterness contaminates your fruit. If your harvest is only designed to humiliate people, then your heart still needs healing. God did not give you an assignment so you could become arrogant. He gave you an assignment so you could become fruitful. Recognition is not the goal. Fulfillment is the goal. Recognition may come, but recognition is a byproduct, not the foundation. Applause may come, but applause is not the assignment. Doors may open, but doors are not the purpose. The purpose is to become everything the manufacturer designed you to become and to release what he placed inside you for the benefit of others. Fruit is never for the tree alone. Fruit feeds, fruit blesses, fruit multiplies, fruit carries seed for the next generation. That is why your character must grow with your gift. Results without character are dangerous. Visibility without humility is dangerous. Influence without discipline is dangerous. If the fruit on your life is real, it will not only show in what you build, it will show in who you become while building. It will show in your patience, your integrity, your restraint, your generosity, your excellence, your ability to forgive, and your refusal to let doubt make you dirty. So let your fruit speak. Let your consistency speak when they call you unstable. Let your excellence speak when they call you unrealistic. Let your character speak when they attack your motives. Let transformed lives speak when they question your assignment. Let peace speak when they try to pull you into confusion. Let discipline speak when they expected you to quit. Let the harvest speak louder than the hallway conversations. And right now, if you understand this, write it where you can see it. Say it with your mouth. Put in the comments if you are listening. I will build what God assigned me, even when no one understands it. Declare it until your spirit believes it. I will build what God assigned me, even when no one understands it. Not when they clap, not when they agree, not when they apologize, not when they finally see value in it. I will build because God assigned it. Unsupported vision requires guarded access. It requires private preparation. It requires disciplined execution. It requires patience in delay. It requires protected peace. And finally, it requires fruit that speaks. These 5 rules are not decoration. They are requirements for stewardship. Guard the blueprint. Build in the dark. Replace explanation with execution. Protect your peace. Let the fruit speak. Because at the end of the day, your life must become the announcement. Not your argument, not your post, not your defense, your life. The work must speak, the fruit must speak, the assignment must speak. And when support is absent, obedience must become louder than discouragement. So build anyway. Build when they do not clap. Build when they do not call. Build when they do not understand. Build when the room is quiet, when the support is absent, when the evidence is small, and when obedience is the only confirmation you have left. Guard the blueprint. Build in the dark. Replace explanation with execution. Honor the delay. Protect your peace. Let the fruit speak. That is the order. That is the discipline. That is the stewardship. These are not emotional statements to make you feel better for a moment. These are instructions for carrying assignment without losing yourself to people who were never authorized to define you. You came here feeling unseen. But hidden does not mean forgotten. You came here feeling unsupported, but unsupported does not mean unassigned. You came here wondering if their silence meant you missed God. No. Their silence is not the measurement of your calling. Their approval is not the evidence of your purpose. Their inability to recognize the early version of your vision does not cancel what God placed inside you. Stop waiting for people to approve what God already authorized. Start right now. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start with the little strength left in your hands. Start with the small room, the small budget, the small audience, the small opportunity, the small idea, the small step. God is not intimidated by small beginnings. God knows how to put a forest inside a seed. Do not make the mistake of calling it nothing because it is not yet visible. Do not curse the seed because it is not yet fruit. Do not abandon the foundation because nobody compliments concrete. Foundations are not glamorous, but they carry the house. Roots are not visible, but they carry the tree. Discipline is not always celebrated, but it carries destiny. This is not about proving your worth. Stop right there. I know what the pain wants to do. Pain wants to turn your purpose into a weapon. Pain wants to make your future one long argument against the people who doubted you. No, that is too small. You are not building to prove them wrong. You are building to become faithful. You are building because purpose requires obedience. You are building because the manufacturer designed you with something the world needs. You are not random. You are not abandoned. You are not late. You are not disqualified because they did not understand the early version of your vision. You are not behind because you had to grow in silence. You are not rejected because God hid you. You are not weak because you needed time. You are being formed. You are being rooted. You are being prepared to carry what your emotions once wanted too early. So stop apologizing for your obedience. Stop shrinking so confused people can stay comfortable. Stop rehearsing your pain more than you practice your purpose. Stop spending your best energy trying to convince people who have already chosen doubt. Let obedience become louder than discouragement. Let your schedule speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your peace speak. Let your work speak. Let your fruit speak. And when you get tired, remember the assignment. When you feel alone, remember the assignment. When they misunderstand you, remember the assignment. When the door is closed, remember the assignment. When the process feels slow, remember the assignment. You were not sent here to be approved by everybody. You were sent here to be faithful to what God placed in you. Work when they are distracted. Prepare when they are performing. Study when they are scrolling. Pray when they are complaining. Build when they are laughing. Heal when they are gossiping. Grow when they are doubting. And one day, not because you forced it, not because you begged for it, not because you manipulated the room, but because fruit has its own voice, your life will begin to announce what your mouth no longer needs to defend. If this teaching is speaking to your assignment, subscribe because you are committed to growing in kingdom purpose. Like this, as an act of agreement with disciplined obedience, not shallow emotion. And come in the truth, you are choosing to live out according to God's original purpose for your life. Say, I will build what God assigned me. Say, I will obey before I am understood. Say, my life will become the announcement. And hear me one last time. If they cannot see it, stop explaining it. Build anyway and let your life become the announcement.